Welcome to the Crypto and Blockchain Talk.
Hello.
Hey.
Guten Tag.
Aloha.
Hola. Shalom.
Hello.
Namaste.
Ni hao.
Privet.
Hello.
Salut. Yassas.
Salve.
Ciao.
Bonjour. Our podcast talks about the latest trends in the worlds of cryptocurrencies and the blockchain. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Crypto and Blockchain Talk. And with the cryptosphere in the flux, or I hate to say it, in its little downward trend, I could not have anyone else on except for my dearest pal, Jonathan Dunsmoor, who is the founder and principal of Dunsmoor Law. Jonathan, welcome to Crypto and Blockchain Talk again.
Thank you so much for having me. I miss you, and I'm glad that we were able to catch up and do this.
Well, I really seriously miss you too, man, and this is going to be awesome because there's a lot to cover. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to go, there's no other way to kind of paint it right now. The crypto markets are really taking a beating. We can say, even as much as it kind of hurts and pains us in many ways, that crypto is crashing. But, I think the cryptocurrency I want to start with right now, if you don't mind, is the Terra Luna token. Now, it was about a month ago that it was trading at around $100 a token. It is now trading at a couple cents. And this all started, and I have to tell you, and I don't want to look like I am having schadenfreude or that I'm celebrating the fact of being right. But when Do Kwon, who is the CEO of LUNA, which is Terra is the company, Luna is the coin. When he started to tweet about putting out their new stablecoin, which was the Terra USD. By the way, that's called the UST. Just like USDT, you have USDC. So Terra's stablecoin was the UST. And what happened was Do Kwon started to put out some tweets, and I mentioned it in a couple of podcasts because his tweets were very strange. And I kept thinking there's something wrong with these tweets because he's like kind of tempting fate. So he was putting out tweets that were saying things like, today, let me actually get one of these tweets up. Today I watered my plants, I wrote some emails, I bought 230 million in Bitcoin, vacuumed the house, had some McDonald's, now off to walk the dog. And that tweet, by the way, that I just read you was from April 6th. Okay? It's now a month and a bit later. And I actually said on the podcast, I said, I feel like he's being there's something about these tweets that are kind of rubbing me the wrong way. It's kind of like he's tempting Lady Luck. There was something rubbing me the wrong way even then. And I'm not, like I said, I can't say that this is, that I can see the future. But, now what's happened is, of course, with some things went very wrong, and there's a lot of conspiracies, and we're not going to go into conspiracy theories. But at the end of the day, Terra's Luna plummeted, it's just absolutely crazy. Now, the beauty of stablecoins is that they're supposed to remain stable, i.e., stable coin. And they're usually backed or pegged to some other underlying asset, and it could be fiat, or it could be crypto, or it could be a combination. And of course, as I just read in the tweet, what they were doing is they were going to use Bitcoin to be their underlying asset to back their new stablecoin. Well, that's all kind of gone pear-shaped. And now that it's everything is related to everything else, and I don't even know where to go with explaining this because the Terra USD became, their Terra stablecoin became so unbalanced, it became unpegged and triggered this massive sell-off. And now about 11 billion of the Terra Luna's market cap is erased, and it's essentially not worth the paper it's kind of written on. And then, of course, many other things escalated from this. They kind of unplugged their system. You had, of course, CZ from Binance, who wrote some tweets about how disappointed he was in the way that the Terra Luna team have actually been handling this whole situation. But I want you to wade in. What do you think about what's happened with Terra, and what other information do you have that can kind of shine a light on this insanity that's kind of unfolded in front of everyone?
Yeah, so, first and foremost, this is an educational podcast. None of this is legal or financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. Do not use this as investment advice either. But that being said, I do think Do Kwon definitely tempted fate and talked a lot of trash, and the hubris was 1,000% there. Who did not deserve it were the LUNAtics and the UST holders, who have literally lost billions of dollars in market value, and that's unfair. And I do think that this was, both personally and professionally, I think that this was a coordinated attack. The numbers that it would take to crash a stablecoin are just, even at a hypothetical basis, are outrageous. So the good news, bad news is I think that it will be uncovered who, participated in this market crash. And it is my personal belief that it is the capital markets that always uses the crypto markets to prop itself up. I won't name any names here, but I do think that there's a strong likelihood that some capital markets folks decided to take a crack at somebody that they thought maybe was a little bit too full of themselves, and was hoping that they would not maybe cause as much destruction as they did, and they maybe overshot it. So overall, this is a lesson to be learned about algo stable coins and what they can and cannot do. We've been here through bears before. We've been here through winters before, whatever we want to call this, and make ourselves feel good. At this point, I don't think that there's a doubt in my mind that we will become stronger. There's been billions of lost because Luna's price has collapsed over 99%. It is now trading at sub-penny. Terra UST is lost 85%. It is now trading at about 16 cents from its dollar peg. So both events are catastrophic for the market. As someone who we have hypothecated on the instability of stable coins, especially, those that don't audit themselves or have third-party audits. These are real kind of issues that we as an industry have to address. They cause fractionalization in the entire market.
But let's just go to something that's a little serious before we go back to our fun-loving selves. There was an article actually in the New York Post which really got my attention. And the headline for the article was "Crypto Investors Panic During Market Bloodbath. I Will Lose My Home." And there's a couple of quotes actually in there, and they're from Reddit users, right? So they're from people on the Reddit forum, and one said, "I lost over 450,000 USD. I can't pay the bank." And then the person goes on to say, "I'm going to lose my home, and then suicide is the only way out for me." And then there's a couple of more things which are pretty much on top of that, with another person saying that their ex-colleague attempted suicide because he moved all of his savings to crypto and Luna was a massive player in his portfolio. I think we need to seriously address this for a minute for all the listeners that are going to be listening to these podcasts, or this podcast in particular, and on the radio. Please realize that you should never take your life anything. You should never take your life. So if you really are having this kind of financial problem where it's impacting your life to the point that you're actually going to tell people, or you're actually thinking of killing yourself, you first of all need to stop and not do that. And the second thing is you need to call somebody, call the Samaritans, or call somebody, because let me tell you something, many people have risen like a phoenix from the flames before, and there's nothing that you should ever do to that extreme. Do you not agree, Jonathan?
Yeah. As May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and given the state of the capital markets and everything that's going on in the world, first and foremost thing that you should do is take care of yourself. And so, if that means stepping away for a while, not watching the charts, going camping and not being connected to the internet, if you can't, not put down your phone, you need to do that. And especially, as Aviva said, reaching out to somebody is critical. In lots of cases, there is bankruptcy protections. There's things that are permissible in the courts. So it is not as gloom as it seems. You may have to start over. You may have to go back, to
Square
zero
one.
or are a little bit, down from square one. And so with that, if there is any type of situation in which you think that suicide is the only answer, you're absolutely wrong. Reach out to as many people as you can until you get the right answer. I know that sucks. I know it hurts. But at this point, the world is a crazy place and there's no reason for you to leave it. We need all the good, cool people here we can. And if you're in crypto, I consider you good, cool people.
What I will say as well is that it isn't just in crypto that people are obviously feeling the pain. People even in the stock markets, the stock market is exactly the same way. It's really making a lot of people very, very afraid right now for what's happening really in the economic spectrum around the world, what's happening in the financial sectors. And, people are right now also very down on their stock portfolios. And so this is something where, again, it kind of goes back to what we are always saying. Never invest more than you can afford to lose. Always, always keep a keen eye on what you're doing financially. I was just reading as well that Do Kwon, who again is the CEO of Terra, he did propose, by the way, some kind of revival plan for the network, and in it he's suggesting that the stablecoin, the UST, is not coming back, and that the Terra blockchain has to redistribute tokens to move forward. So even he is trying to come up with a different plan. You do have some people who they've lost a hell of a lot of money, such as KSI, the YouTuber and Gogglebox star. He lost 2.8 million pounds in a day. And his tweet that he put out said, "My $2.8 million is literally worth 1,000, a bunch of ha-ha-has," and he said, "Yeah, I'm packing this in." I guess some people can take the loss and see it for what it is and move on, but I have to tell you, I was reading Twitter before and reading a lot more stuff, and many people who have lost a lot during this time in crypto, they are doing everything they can to see the lighter side of this, and that's what I guess if you can't hodl onto what you actually have at this moment, and you do have to sell off, it's totally understandable.
Do Kwon just said, I've spent the last few days on the phone calling Terra community members, builders, community members, employees, friends, family that have been devastated by UST depegging. I'm heartbroken about the pain my invention has brought on you all. Number two, I still believe that decentralized economies deserve decentralized money, but it's clear that UST is in its current form will not be that money. Neither I nor any institution that I'm affiliated with profited in any way from this incident. I sold no Luna nor UST during this crisis. So once again, this is that type of statement that I don't think, quite frankly, matters.
Well, you know why he's put out that statement? Because, people are basically coming after him. You know that, right? He's actually,
absolutely.
Yeah, he's asked for protection because people are showing up to his house.
Well, and I think that there's, as we talked about mental health, showing up and hurting other people is not a good idea. That's a way to really kind of end whatever run you had. So regardless of how much money you've lost, I know it hurts right now. I'm not negating that hurt. But I am saying that, we can all build back. It's still so early. It is still so unbelievably early that most people don't even know what Luna and UST were. And that's the truth of the matter. If you went into the supermarket right now and said, who held Luna, I wonder how many hands would go up. I bet it would be probably one or two, depending on the jurisdiction or the city that you're in. So keep that in mind. It may hurt right now. I hope you didn't quit your job or do anything terrible over this, but we will be back. Clearly Do Kwon and Terra may not be back, but more is to come from this industry. And I think that's what we should all focus on. Instead of rallying around Do Kwon, which controversial decision of whether we should do that or not, someone attacked him and someone attacked this industry. And I guarantee you, with quarterly reports come out, we're going to find out who it is. And when we do, I think that the SEC or other regulators, if they truly care about regulation, they need to look into that because that caused millions of people to lose money. And that's market manipulation. That's fraud. That's generally a felony in most jurisdictions. So
I wonder if will ever come out. Yeah, I wonder if we will see. One of the early investors into Terra was Coinbase. It's a personal opinion I'm giving. I think so weird for Coinbase, a company that is worth billions, to actually go out there and say, hey, listen, if we go bankrupt, we're keeping what's in your accounts. I mean, you were mentioning banks before. Banks are backed in the United States, at least, by the FDIC. So there's insurance, basically. It's up to $250,000 per account. And, there's assurances there. There's no assurance with crypto. We've done many podcasts on how people have been locked out of their accounts, that they still can't get control of their accounts, that, the customer service is really bad. I actually had a guy named Rob on one of the podcasts who said that they were employed by Coinbase to help improve their customer service. And I actually said to Rob at that point, well, good luck, because it's going to take a lot. There's a lot of other places, a lot of other companies who do give better service and do allow you to do all the services that Coinbase does. But I personally feel that Coinbase has never really delivered. Ever since they had their CFTC fine for misleading, their own clients, which of course shocked me greatly that they ever got listed on any exchange. Which, by the way, shares of Coinbase were cratering Wednesday after they delivered a very disappointing earnings report amid a slowdown in the trading of, obviously, cryptocurrency. But, I just think that the fact that the irresponsibility of them to even release a statement like this is so in line with just the disappointing service that they actually deliver. I personally think pulling your money out of Coinbase and putting it into another exchange or another company who delivers, like I said, services just like this is not maybe a bad idea again. So what's your opinion? Weigh in on this one.
That's the ultimate, the insanity behind this, right? Is, the old adage of not your keys, not your crypto is actually true. It sucks. I'm not going to lie. It's absolutely terrifying. Does that mean that everybody should go pull their money off of Coinbase or crypto.com or all the centralized exchanges? Well, I think if everybody does a run on the banks, we're going to have a problem. You have to take everything into perspective. If you think it is your entire net worth is on a centralized exchange, yeah, you should pull some of that off just to de-risk it, right? As we talked about, diversification is the reason that people are able to weather these storms, whether they're in the crypto market or the capital market. But that being said, if we all panic and we all start, selling off or pulling off these exchanges, we're going to run into more and more problems. Am I surprised that Coinbase has this in their disclosures? No, everybody does. Everybody who's a centralized exchange does. Take a deep breath and recognize that we've been here before. If this is your first time being in a crash or being in, a bear market, look at the veterans, look at the people who have been here before and see what they're doing. If they're not panicking, if they're not pulling things off the exchanges, if they're not, losing their minds, then you shouldn't either. I can promise you that as someone who's lost an amazing amount of money recently, it is not something I'm happy with. It is not something that I am bragging about. I'm not KSI and putting up tweets of how many millions I've lost. Not that I've lost millions, but I am in a position where it does hurt because they didn't kill us. And whether they'll try that again with Tether or another unregistered stablecoin or unaudited stablecoin, I don't know. But the thing is we will learn from it and we'll build better.
I mean, there's no point in selling anyway if you're down 99%. What's the point? You might as well just hold on to it and wait for a rebound, if any. I mean, just like that guy who lost 2.3 million, it's now only worth 1,000. There's no point in him selling. He should just keep it and just hold on to it. But I do hate Coinbase. I've hated Coinbase for the longest time. And for them to even say what they said, do you know how many people they must have thrown into a panic, even if they didn't have a Coinbase account?
They have to, though. They have to. They legally have to. They have to protect their investors first. That's the problem with capitalism is that you legally have a fiduciary duty to do the best you can financially. Do as much to maximize shareholder value as you can.
How is that maximizing any kind of communications or relationship with the user by telling them that you're going to be taking their funds if they go bankrupt? How is that helping them?
They have to protect their investors. They have to protect their investors first. Our secured interest parties, generally before investors, there's a whole trickle-down thing where if you have a secured party, such as a bank that has your shares outstanding for, a loan they've lent you, and all of a sudden you get a margin call basically on you because your stock just, took a dump, and you're forced to declare bankruptcy, your assets, which are on a custodial exchange, would be liquidated to pay off that secured debt. Like, this is well established within the law because the law favors rich people. They want banks to not fail. So they want banks to take risk and loan money out to people at, what would be presumed, fairly reasonable interest rates. And so in order for them to do that, they have to have secured loans. Those secured loans are generally backed by the assets of which the company has. If you're a crypto company, guess what asset you have? And that's why, utilizing and learning how to properly utilize a DEX so you don't get wrecked, is really important. But even if you just use one DEX, right, and you're providing liquidity to the DEX or you're trading within the DEX, you need to go to your MetaMask account, deauthorize stuff, or you need to go to Etherscan more properly and revoke access to stuff if you're not going to be using it for a while. I think that, there needs to be a much bigger and greater knowledge and depth of disconnecting to sites and revoking access to certain protocols when you're no longer using them, because that's where the hacks occur. That's where real damage can be done. You can have an entire portfolio wiped out because you clicked on a phishing scam. Like, how many bored yacht apes have been lost to that? So, looking at this entire ecosystem, we're still falling victim to dumb things. We're still, we still get black eyes because, somebody made something stupid. So we have to come together and build together. We have to work together. One of the things I stress to the lawyers in this space is that none of us are smarter than all of us. None of us have all the answers. I'm a damn good securities lawyer. I'm a damn good when it comes to dealing with FinCEN and commodities and the headaches that regulators bring us. I'm very good at that. But that doesn't mean I know, estate planning. That doesn't mean I know what's the best way to guard your assets when it comes to your passing. I want my estate planning lawyers to really think that stuff up. Right. Do they give you a private key? Is that something where your paralegal is going to put it in a safe or take a picture of it and 10 years from now run off with somebody's stats? I have no idea. I need people who are smarter than me and hopefully work in a crowdsourcing effort to come up with real solutions for real problems. And one of the real problems we have right now is we don't know how to protect someone's assets when they pass away and they have crypto assets who are possibly spread on DEXs, SEXs, in NFTs, in different wallets. Most people don't know that you can have a MetaMask wallet and create different accounts on that MetaMask wallet.
Most people, when they do go into crypto, it's not like they don't equate this they don't know enough about crypto. They don't equate it anyway to stocks, like you were saying, with margin calls, where obviously you lose everything that you've put in, et cetera, et cetera. People don't equate it to that because they don't understand, for the most part, crypto, and they certainly, most people don't even understand stocks and derivatives. They don't understand these things. So don't you think it's a bit of a far reach to kind of say, well, Coinbase is doing a fantastic job by saying...
No, I never said Coinbase did a fantastic job. I have a lot of respect for what Coinbase has done, paving the way, but, they are a big publicly traded corporation, which I share no love lost for when it comes to newcomers eating their lunch.
But there's also things like KuCoin has just raised $150 million in a round led by Jump Crypto. Yeah, and they've had a $10 billion US dollar valuation, which is amazing. In addition, there's also been Talos, which is another crypto trading firm, has just raised $105 million US dollars in a Series B funding round. And that, by the way, includes investments from U.S. financial giants, which includes Citigroup, which is, of course, a major American bank group, and BNY Mellon. The fact that there's still confidence in firms like this, into crypto platforms, that actually is a very good indicator that there's still, especially from institutional investors and from major VCs and companies who obviously do these kinds of investments, there's obviously still a belief that the cryptosphere is going to rebound on itself. It's obviously there, even though there is a lot of this uncertainty and downward spiral going on. You also have countries, like El Salvador, just bought 15 million's worth of Bitcoin. This is not the first time that the crypto markets have actually done this, like you already said, with everything that crypto has gone through. Because as you know, there's also been, there's been more hacks. All these things haven't literally killed crypto. It's just, we're just going through another dip. But I'll tell you what does actually, you mentioned NFTs before. You were talking about how, the blockchain and the usage of blockchain, which of course crypto is just one of the many byproducts of the blockchain phenomena. You have NFTs, and I have to tell you, I'm becoming I'm giving side eye to many of these NFT projects. And I don't know if you saw the latest Madonna collection. I think Madonna
I've heard about it. I have not.
Yeah, but by God, what Madonna has put out as an NFT collection, it's literally made me lose my cookies. And I mean, I don't know. I'm surprised you haven't seen this, Jonathan. It's literally...
I've heard about it. I've heard it's gross, and that's why I haven't gone looking for it.
Well, it's basically, I should say, a forest coming out of her lady parts and a bunch of other... It's CGI'd. So it looks like Madonna, like maybe... But yeah, she's of course naked. It's probably another one of these things going back to her raw days. But I got to tell you, it just, for me, it's just the same thing as if this was a crypto hack. It just cheapens it. I don't know. I shouldn't have these opinions, because I know people are probably listening to this and they're going to say, who the hell are you to tell us what art is? And I'm a nobody. I can't tell you what art is. Crap. I can't even paint my own fingernails. I looked at this NFT collection and I literally just thought to myself, the same thing I thought when Beeple sold for that stupid amount of money. What was it, 69 million or whatever? I just thought to myself, what is going on here? I'm so confused about this planet that sometimes I think I really am. I'm in some kind of weird dream, but I guess you have to see it to understand it. But it would be great to get your take on it as a guy, because maybe I'm just being like some kind of prudish female. I don't know.
So I think for, art in and of itself as NFTs, we've got a long way to go, right? Like, people who are known and respected and inspiring, have art collections sell out. But for the most part, we're not going to see, these types of events anymore. Yeah, I mean, I think that, art is clearly subjective, and it becomes something where, if you're a real Madonna fan, maybe this is the thing that you really love.
That's true. That's very true, because it goes right along with all the other stuff she's ever released in the past, like these books and other images. So it does actually fall in line with her brand. So I'm probably way off course in what I said. And you're right. A Madonna fan will probably think this is the most amazing art. So, but I got to tell you, it makes me I'm just hoping for more in the NFT space. But you mentioned NFTs, and I just thought I had to bring that one up.
And I'm going to do a shout out to, some people in the Terra ecosystem that were building something really cool. And I hope they continue to build something really cool, whether it's on Terra or another chain. They were working on tickets for NFTs. And, the ticketing model of Ticketmaster and the unscrupulous bots and basically the antitrust issues that nobody cares about when it comes to ticketing are just so egregious as point that, we as the general public, both in the EU and, in the United States, suffer from, where you have all of these different fees for this ticket. Some of them are literally bought by Ticketmaster and resold by Ticketmaster in this weird scalping mechanism. And it's perfectly legal at this point, because there is no competition, because nobody has stood up. And bands and various artists are being shuttered from Ticketmaster because they refuse to cooperate. Ticketmaster's, spun out this new division of bands in town and stuff like that. Like, that's where NFTs can, really kind of come in. And if you do resell a ticket for more, that artist gets a piece, or you're able to actually verify that this ticket is, for this event. You're not buying some fake ticket or some scammy stuff. So we're still very, very early in the NFT space, and I can't stress that enough.
An announcement just came out that because of the collapse of Luna's cryptocurrency, there's been an $11 million exploit on the Venus protocol, which is a decentralized money market. The reason why this $11 million exploit happened is because of the mishandling of the fiasco around Luna, which kind of is interesting, because this is what CZ was talking about today in his tweets about how Luna was handling the whole, as they said, fiasco. And they actually compared it to when Axie had that massive hack. What was it, 650 million? And they said, Axie was working with us proactively, and it's completely the opposite with what's happened with Terra Luna and UST. And there's a direct quote, actually, that Venus Protocol put out saying, we became aware of an errant price behavior for Luna on the Venus Protocol. And then upon investigation, they learned that this price feed had been paused by Chainlink due to extreme market conditions. And then they went on to say basically that because of this, this $11 million exploit happened. Assets were borrowed and assets were deposited. And because of this discrepancy, it led to this $11 million exploit. So, there's a lot of fallout that's going to come from just this one horrible situation that's happened. I don't think this is going to be the last time we're going to hear about another, a related incident such as this one that's happened on Venus Protocol. I mean, this one was it just got released actually about a minute ago. There's going to be a lot of runoff from this one thing. We are going to continue to see things happen in this space, good and bad. I mean, like I was saying before, we're always going to have hacks, but we're also going to see massive investments. What was it, like a week ago, there was 2 million stolen from Finance, which is a DeFi platform, right? So it was a domain system attack. So there was like 2 million stolen about a week ago. At the same time, you're seeing millions and millions of dollars invested, like we were saying in the beginning of this, into platforms such. We're always going to see these and downs, this kind of like yin yang of balances here in the crypto space. One thing I think is also interesting, which is not really directly crypto related, but we see that Elon Musk has an affinity with crypto, and it looks like the whole purchasing of Twitter on pause, because he apparently isn't happy with what's been reported with the number of fake and spam accounts, and he wants more details on this because he wants to be sure that he's not buying a company that's full of fake accounts. Did you see this?
I did, and I have a love-hate relationship with Elon Musk, as you well know. And
yeah,
so
me too.
At this point, I really hope that.
I think it's actually good that out of this purchase, we're going to actually, I think, see just how much of Twitter is full of fake users, basically spam bots. And we're going to see exactly, what's really behind the scenes. I'll tell you what the coolest thing would have been. The coolest thing that Elon Musk could have done. Seriously. Imagine if after he bought Twitter, he said, okay, everyone, now pull the plug. We're taking Twitter down. That would have been for me the best the best thing that could have happened, because I am so anti-social media now. I really, really hate social media. It's just, first of all, in terms of us communicating with each other, especially in the Twitterverse, we all, or I should say in the cryptoverse, there's Reddit, there's Discord, there's so many other, there's so many ways that we communicate. Of course, the one which was around for forever was Telegram. And that was everyone's go-to. And in many cases, it still is everyone's go-to method of communicating. The problem with Twitter and most other social media platforms is what it's doing to the younger generation's minds and what it's doing to kids, and making I think it's just, I've been reading so many stories lately about what's happening with so many young people who are doing things or hurting themselves because, people are spreading rumors, or because anyone is that desperate for information. There's so many ways to get it. The internet is rife. And if you really want to contact somebody or find out information, I'm not sure that Twitter's the right place. As we all saw from Do Kwon, him pumping himself up. I mean, a lot of people are using Twitter as well to totally spread, total FUD. All kinds of stuff, which, as we also know, isn't even true. Some of the biggest scams in crypto history were spread on Twitter. So I can't sit here and say, yeah, Twitter's really helped with, Twitter has been instrumental in some of the biggest scams in history. BitConnect, Pincoin, you name it. We are talking about the reason why they were able to get global gathering was because of social media. So, there's the flip side.
There's always a flip side. There's always a double-edged sword.
It is.
Like I said, this stuff is inevitable. We have a globe in which we are all intercommunicating, whether it's Discord or Telegram or other ways. We need a semi-reliable way of going and saying, okay, this account is verified. What is Verizon saying about their entire network being down all the time? Like, I think that this is a matter in which something like Twitter has to exist. We have to be able to go get semi-reliable information. And does that mean, it is the town forum and gossip and rumors and idle gods are created? Absolutely. Humans are very dumb, as we've seen over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's going to change. What I do think that is going to change is if we can actually build systems that say, okay, this person actually did vote and this person did actually say, they would do and be who they said they would be, or this person is actually Aviva, right? Like, it's not somebody using your voice who has been, on the internet longer than me or more instances than me and calling me up and having this conversation. Like, those technologies are going to exist. And so how the hell do we know that, this is actually you, right? That this is actually you making the secure call? I think that we're really starting to approach that as we start seeing how much disinformation and misinformation is out there.
I wanted to close out with Russia curbing gas supplies to, it looks like, Finland as well as other places in Europe. And the reason why I want to talk about this, there was a time where Russia said you could pay for your gas in Bitcoin as well as rubles. They dropped the Bitcoin and they said, okay, you have to open up ruble accounts. And it looks like that there have been a number of ruble accounts that have been opened. They're not saying who's opening these accounts. Do you think that Russia should have said, yes, we will take Bitcoin as well?
I truly believe that, the era of Bitcoin being a global currency is not here yet. And for many reasons. It's slow, it's cumbersome, it's expensive. So I don't think that Russia, should use Bitcoin. I think that regardless of your politics or your position in this.
And I think on that note, we will say, Jonathan, thanks for coming on again and again and again. And this definitely won't be your last time, I hope.
Not at all. I cannot stress this enough. Like, you are a shining light in this ecosystem. And if anybody ever needs to get good information about what is going on, you do the best interviews. You're right up there with Sean Evans of Hot Ones. Like, it's incredible. And so I really encourage everyone who is suffering and who's having a bad time to take a listen to some of the old podcasts. We still have a long way to go, guys and girls. And so don't give up. None of this is financial advice or investment advice, but it damn sure is educational advice. And it, try to be good to everyone right now. It's everybody's suffering, whether you're in Ukraine or you're dealing with other financial situations. There's a lot of people hurting, and we're all on this little pretty blue rock together.
That's an absolutely beautiful sentiment. And by the way, I couldn't have paid for a better commercial if I tried. I'd like to also add to that, yes, try to be kind to your fellow man, for sure. On that note, I'd like to thank all of our listeners for tuning into this edition of Crypto and Blockchain Talk. Please remember to tell your friends and family to tune into this podcast on over 70 different podcasting platforms. There's a partial list on cryptoandblockchaintalk.com, and the rest you can find just by Googling Crypto and Blockchain Talk. In addition, these beautiful podcasts, news, music, and more are broadcast on our sister radio station, Crypto24radio.com. Crypto24radio.com plays 24/7 around the world. We do love to hear from you, and of course we do have, and I know Jonathan's going to laugh at this one, our normal social media handles on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. But most importantly, we do love to hear from you directly. So please email us at education@savvydigital.com. That's education@savvy, SAVII digital.com. Furthermore, we know that you have a very, very busy life, and it can be stressful. So when you tune into us, it means the world. So please be safe. Take care, and goodbye for now.